Like, yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Bishop Spiegel. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Rabbi Joe. And thank you to all of you who are here. We're really glad to have all of you. I'm going to just turn it over to you, Rabbi Joe.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry, for hosting this, allowing us to do this. I am in Poland right now. It
Oh,
is 2:02 in the morning. I'm at a Jesuit seminary, and I'm speaking here tomorrow and then at a few other places we're going. So that's why I'm in Poland. And I had 3 hours sleep last night, and the night before I had 2 hours sleep. So I thought I would take a shower this evening, nice warm shower right before at 1:30. The water was frigid, no hot water. So I am awake. I,
Excellent.
and my heart is calming down. It was frigid. I mean, I think they were melting ice to get the water for me. So I feel very welcomed here. But we are here this evening, and what would be nice before we actually begin learning about the Episcopal faith and the bishop's role and her leadership and her life of faith, I thought it would be nice if we could just go around for a few moments and meet and greet. So why don't we start? I'll just read from top to bottom. Why don't we start with Beth? It says Beth on your. Tell us a little
yeah.
bit about yourself.
Okay. And Jim is with, yeah,
Yes.
but computers, they don't. Oh, okay. So we are,
Episcopalian.
yeah, we are Episcopalians also. And our friend Doris Klein said we might be interested in this group because we were talking about community and, she does some Torah studying on Saturday and we go to the chapel on Saturday. And we were just discussing things about how we enjoy this little community because we're up in Fraser. So at the chapel, I think there's 6 people. It's so you know them, and it's really nice.
Hmm. And you're
So
in what city? Fraser?
Oh,
Fraser, Colorado,
It's
Fraser, Colorado.
near
Okay,
Winter
oh,
Park.
great.
and near Granby, where Dave and Doris Klein live.
Okay, beautiful.
yep.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, Jim.
Well, we moved here, we retired, we moved here in 2008 from Illinois. So we went from flat to hilly. And we have 4 kids. And we were both lawyers.
Oh, beautiful.
But
Well, thank you
Not the
for
kids.
joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. If maybe when I come back to Colorado, we'll meet up. We'll have
Yeah,
a gathering.
that'd be
So,
good.
thank you, Carla. You are new here. How'd you find
Hi.
your way onto this?
Through you, Joe, when you visit Aberdeen, Scotland, we met in a synagogue. Um, Thank you for inviting me to the group or learn about more what you guys do. And I'm a Messianic Jew. I live in Aberdeen, Scotland.
And where are you from originally? Tell us a little bit about your background because I found that very interesting.
I'm from Angola. I speak Portuguese. That is my first language. Yes, my background. My father, he was a Jew. Yeah, and I immigrated to Scotland. That is with my children.
Hmm. Well, it was nice meeting you last week and nice seeing you here. Thank you for joining us.
For having me.
Sister Sherry, you're next.
Oh, okay. Well, I am with Temple Aaron, and some of you know me. I know we've seen Patricia, you've been here before, and um, Beth, and I'm sorry, I forget your name already. Is it
Jim,
Jim.
I'm
yeah,
sorry, Beth and
Jim.
Jim. Thank you. Tell Doris I said hello, and I'm sorry she's not here tonight. Um, she's wonderful, but anyway, I'm with the temple, so.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Adrian, nice seeing you.
Nice to be seen. How are you?
I'm I'm actually better than I thought I would be. So I'm doing well. Thank you.
My name is Adrienne. I
Oops.
am, well, I continue to correct. It's fine. Um, I am currently at my office in Pleasant Grove, Utah. Just finished a day of being a therapist, doing therapizing stuff, and I'm done. So I can enjoy this time with you.
Beautiful. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Yael, you are next.
Hi, Dad. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm Hi, Bishop. It's good to see you too. My name's Yael. I'm Joe's daughter, and I'm currently in Colorado as a freshman in college, and I'm waiting for my dad to come home.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All is well? Beautiful. Sister Patricia.
Hi, glad to be
Howdy.
back. Yeah, I'm Patricia Johnson. I live in Eastern Washington State. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I like learning, particularly about faith and history.
Beautiful. Great having you. Thanks for joining in. And it looks like Taylor. Taylor J. J. Taylor. JT. TJ. We will come back. We got AC. Ack. Brother Ack.
Brother Jack.
That's
Good,
right.
good to see you.
Good
Your
too.
Sorry
mic.
about
Oh,
that, Joe.
that's okay. That's
For
okay.
some reason it wouldn't let me unmute for a second there. I'm just actually in my car because my son's sleeping inside. So I'm sorry I haven't been around for a while. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I just wanted to really get in here because I haven't been for a while, and it's really good to see you, Joe. And there's a couple new faces, but I'm so grateful to see you today. Just been really, really busy with work and family and everything, and some school stuff. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks. And you're well, family's well, child's well?
Yes, everyone's
Good.
well. Wife and I are just both working and both going to school, so we're just killing it in life, doing our best.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Ack, back to you.
All right. Well, I'm posted up here in Trinidad, Colorado, home of Temple Aaron. Proud board member and helping to make things happen here on the ground, often with Rabbi Joe and Yael and of course Sherry. So yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for attending. Come see us in Trinidad if you're in town.
Yeah, well, I'll see you next month. See you next month for our little Hanukkah gathering. And let's see, who else? Looks like, wait, did I lose? Oh, Donnie. Reverend Donnie.
Hi, it's good to be here. It's good to see you. I'm Danny Lee. I'm a priest in the Diocese of Utah. I work with Bishop Phyllis, and I'm also a friend of Rabbi Joe.
Thank you. Great seeing you. Family's okay?
Yeah, all is well.
Good. How's your work husband?
He's he's just as funny as you remember him.
I thought for the longest time she was married to somebody else. And I found out on our last trip that's not who she was married to. But he's a nice guy.
Bishop, he means Karen.
Yeah.
I would have guessed that. I actually did
guess. And last but not least, Bishop. Shalom, sister. How are you?
Shalom. I'm blessed by this time. I've been looking forward to it. I think Rabbi Joe and I both feel like this is a miracle, given our schedules. And the way it came together is that he's up at 2 a.m. So, but Carla, you also are up. It's probably what is it? Right at 1 or
11 now. Yeah.
Oh, it's 11. Okay. Yeah.
No,
So
111. 111. Yeah.
Oh, 111. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was 1. My daughter's in England. So, yeah. And so it's just a blessing to be here. I've gotten to know Rabbi Joe through Reverend Danny, and So, and as you all know, Joe makes friends quickly. And so do I. I can't keep up with him theologically or thought wise, just in rapidity of thought, which is a new thing for me on the rapidity part, because I generally have to try to slow myself down, and I have to like start pedaling in overdrive to keep up with Joe, which I think we both really enjoy. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, why we're here tonight. We have not, he, despite his best efforts, he tried to get us together beforehand, but I've been traveling a lot, and it's just not been, I've not been able to do it. And so we're off the cuff tonight. So
Yeah.
this is unfiltered, unvarnished, unrehearsed, and just really talking from our hearts, which I hope that people join in the conversation.
Yes.
It's much better. A group conversation is even more fun than a dialogue, for sure, for Joe and I. So I come with an open heart. I come with any questions that anybody wants to ask. But yeah, so I'm ready. I feel like, okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm Joe, everybody, and I'm grateful you're all with us. So let's just, in the beginning, and you're right, we are winging this one. We didn't even have a chance to say, should we go in this direction, or all of them? So we will see where it goes, and we've never wanted for deep, insightful, healing conversations. And I'm grateful that you're here with us, and I'm grateful you're in our lives. And I mean that. We are blessed to have you. So
Can I say also that it's not just Joe that I have a relationship with, but Yael and I just like we hit it off. We love each other. We have done a day at camp for little ones, and she became my partner in ministry as we were doing all sorts of things. So we have just had a ball together, playing with God's children, and so. Yael, it's just so beautiful to see you, and I'm blessed by that relationship as well. Joe, to know your daughter and to be
thank you.
in that relationship.
Thank you.
So thanks.
Yeah. She's a light in spite of all my failures. So we're grateful you're here too, Yael. Thank you. Grateful you're all here.
I want to
And
just say, since the bishop mentioned, I think my favorite moment with you over the summer was when the kids started throwing water balloons and I was hiding behind you.
He used
I
me
was
as a
hoping we
shield.
could
And I just want to say it was a creation care moment. My staff had all crocheted water balloons. I mean, like they crocheted things that, look so that the yarn soaked it up. It was blanket yarn. And so they were reusable yarn balloons, and the kids loved throwing them at us. But you gave me up really fast on that one. It's fun.
I was hoping we could revisit that tonight. We'll celebrate by throwing water balloons at our Zoom screens. But so just before we get into some more theological and soulful issues, just tell us a little about yourself, Bishop. What led you to your calling, one, in just the realm of the sacred, to become a reverend? And what was the process of becoming a reverend? How did you become a bishop? What is life like as a bishop? Just give us a sense of how your life began and then developed. Well, not how it began. Never mind. Began in the bishopric, or in the clergy life. What brought you to the world of clergy in general? Where were you before that? How did you end up here in the world of faith?
That is such a big question. But I will say that even though there were a lot of things that looked like disparate dots on a map, it actually was all one line. And so that's that everything that I have been, every incarnation of myself in life has led to this. I'm using every day, I draw on every bit of it as a bishop, way more so than a priest. So the role I have is very different now. So I'll give you a little bit of background, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. So life began, and so I'm gonna use a Christian reference here, and so I do speak from my own faith, but I think hopefully I won't offend anyone in one way or another. But so I am the result of the IBM Christmas party. And so in 1965, I was born in September of 66. And so I think that my love of liturgy and the church seasons began indeed at the beginning of life. So we have, I was raised in an Episcopal household, and I was the youngest of three children. And my sister was unable to participate as an acolyte, part of the liturgy as a girl, but by the time I came through 4 years later, girls were allowed to serve on the altar. So I had a different experience, and I really did fall in love with vestments about that time. I would always want to carry the cross on Christmas Eve because there was this red vestment that you put over your white robe, and I had a red satin hair bow, and my hair was quite long, and so I had a red satin hair bow that matched the vestment. And so that was how theologically profound I was at the age of 15 and 16. But I loved serving in liturgy, and I was trained really well. In fact, the person who trained me as an acolyte, starting at about the age of 13, he attended my consecration as bishop. And so it was so that beginning that I had was really quite profound. So I grew up very active in the Girl Scouts, which also goes very well with faith because we are centered in God and community. So that was a big part of my life. Then I went off to college, and I went to a small liberal arts school in Appalachia. And so that's where I'm from. I'm from the Blue Ridge Mountain area of Virginia. And it was a Methodist school. And so I led the youth group and things like that for it there. So I got a little bit broader, and sang in the choir. So I got a little bit broader experience, and really did know then and that I loved a liturgical church versus a non-liturgical church. So that is rooted, the liturgy is rooted in me.
Yeah.
When I've graduated, then I fell in love in May of my senior year, and the person that I was dating was going off to Kenya to teach, and so I followed some months later, about 5 months later, and we were married there in Kenya, and then we taught, and I taught business education and commerce. And at that point, I was not in the church. Well, it was very hard to be in the church because we disrupted everything, because they would try to do the service in English. And so the first time I didn't actually know it was in English. I thought it was still in Kiswahili because they were trying to do it. And I was like, we are really disrupting. So I would lock the door of we had a 10-foot by 10-foot house, and we would padlock the door on the outside, which is what we did. And then I would climb through the window and then listen to the BBC radio plays on Sunday morning, because it was only a Catholic church that we could go to, and that was not as comfortable. So anyway, because the Anglican church was about an hour and a half walk from where we lived. So anyway, but that we were married in the Anglican church. And so and then I came back and started working professionally for the Girl Scouts. And that lasted for not quite a year. It was a very unstable situation, and my mom owned a nature store, and she asked if I would open a second store. So then I spent the next 11 years running a nature store, and so professionally bird watching, teaching people how to bring birdscape their yards, and I would go out and help them install water features for birds, that sort of thing. We did a lot of education. That was our main focus. But so a lot of homeschooling groups, a lot of elder hostel groups, and just really enjoyed doing those programs. So it was in the middle of it was like 2 years, so at about year 9, I began feeling like I was supposed to do something else. And I even made a list and I was like, what is it that I would do? And there was nothing I could even imagine doing that I liked doing as much as what I was. I mean, I was working for myself. My mom had her store. I had mine. You know, it was the thing. We were a great team. And so when I went into work the next day, my long-term employee, who was a very, very, very faithful Presbyterian, I said, Jama, you know, I've got this, I feel like God is calling me, but I don't know what it is. And she said, oh my gosh, on our walk last night, Dave and I said to Dave, Phyllis is supposed to be doing something else. And we made almost the identical list and we realized none of those is right. So I had about a 2-year warning system. Like that was like a little, you know, flutter of the Holy Spirit's wings right across my face to say, it's coming, prepare your soul. And so, but then outside of that, that was it. And I, after 11 years of marriage, then my husband left and I had a 2-year-old daughter and it was a new world. And my dad had died like the year before. And so it was a complicated time. And now we get to the call story. So Jeff had left the first of the year and I was in church in March and I'd listened to NPR on the way to church. My daughter was in the car seat and I was driving in and there was a story about Kosovo and the ethnic cleansing that was happening. And they were talking about people being thrown out of houses, right? Like it's like men were going one way, women and children were going the other way, militia was taking the houses. And I have a really strong sense of justice. I think that's I lose my sunny disposition around issues of real injustice. And so I went into church and in my tradition knelt down and spoke to God. And I was full of it. I was like, I want to know. Good morning, God. I want to know why I am so blessed. And these were my words. So, you know, why am I so blessed? And all of this has happened. You know, Jeff has left, you know, my dad has died. These things, big things have happened, but I know I'm not all right right now, but I know I'm going to be all right. And yet, militia is never going to come in and take my home. Even if they did, I have such a family structure that I would never not be okay, right? I mean, because I have such a family of love, such a family of strength. And so I just heard strongly and clearly in a way I had never heard God's voice before. You are blessed, use the blessing. And in my mind, I saw a road before me. And it was a straight, and it was a Y. And it was clear that I could take this right-hand path, and it was going to be more of what I was doing, but with greater intention. That was the premise. And then on the left-hand path was something that God was offering to me that I didn't know about. And so without thinking, I said, my life is yours. Use it as you will. So then the organ starts, the service starts, I stand up. You know, and the procession happens, and we had that church didn't have a full-time priest. It is very, very part-time and just supply clergy. And so it was a woman that day, which was very unusual there. And so she came in and she turned around and she said, blessed be God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I heard, that's what I want you to do. And I was like, whoa, no. But I was Girl Scout, obedient. And so I just said, we'll talk about this later. That was about as obedient as I could get. So that night when I put my daughter to bed, I went out on the porch swing and I was prepared to tell God all of the reasons why I was not qualified to be a priest and all of the things in my life. And so after I had gone through this litany for a while, I heard the other distinctive voice, which was, remember who I called first? They didn't get it either. Because one of the things I said is I'm not even sure I believe in the Bible, because in southwestern Virginia, it had been used so much as a weapon. And I was actually away from the church for 10 years because of my father had become incredibly evangelical due to an illness. And the church had really battered us. His church had battered us. And I was just really tired of people saying that faith, that faith wasn't good enough, or these people are okay and these people are not okay. And I was so when I went back to church, I was all in, but I didn't have any adult formation. So when I went to seminary, and so I just started through the process. It's a long story. It happens to be that my friend who called a priest to say, "Oh my gosh, I think my best friend has lost her mind." And she said, this is the call she's heard, and I don't know what to tell her. And she said, "Well, you tell her to call me. I'm in charge of the ordination process." And so it was like that. And it kind of went like that from there. I kept waiting for people to tell me no. They kept telling me yes. I went to seminary saying, "I'm not, God, what are we going to do about this thing about me believing in the Bible or not? I think this is going to be, it's going to be a problem at some point." And so when it was opened up to me by Old Testament scholars and New Testament scholars, I wept in class openly when my heart broke open and I realized I didn't even know scripture enough to not know it. And so I just started really studying, and I really was a blank slate, but obedient, called, and I went. And then so out of seminary, I kind of went back almost to where I'd come from, which was very much a surprise. I was in the next town over from where my store had been. And I was 11 years as a priest. So there's this 11-year thing. I know it's supposed to be 7, but it seems to be 11 for me. And so I was there and did a large ministry to the unhoused. So our church didn't have locks on the doors, and people slept on the pews. And so I was as much a social worker as I was a priest. I got people their disability benefits, incredibly difficult. After 9/11, it was incredibly difficult to get documentation for people. And so walked through all of that and did that for 11 years before I was called to Cincinnati, and just outside of Cincinnati. And in that was a very, very different call. It was a much larger church. And that's when I started really working on discipleship and what does it mean to grow internally so we know how to go externally. And that's been my mission and ministry since, incorporating all of it together. And so when I was called as bishop, you're actually elected as bishop. And so the profile is put out by the diocese, the geographic area. It's put out. And when I read it, within 20 seconds, I knew that I was called to be their bishop. It took almost a year and a half for the election process, but I knew. And but I stayed very open to the whole process. And kind of like I went to seminary thinking, well, I'm never going to be a priest. I mean, I'm here, but somebody's going to tell me no eventually. I went into the bishop search the same way. Well, I know my name is supposed to be in, but it's probably just to turn the conversation towards issues of becoming beloved community. And which is really what issues of really looking at how do we do healing through story, unity through justice, and conversations around the way God calls us to be God's sacred people. So I got elected, and now I'm here. I've been here a little over 3 years, and it's exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I needed all of those paths. As I said, I use it every single day. So,
wow, that is a story. I want to highlight. I want to explore a couple of areas before we go in a different direction. You said some things that were profound, and something I think that we all need more of in life. You heard a message that you are blessed, and now I think the language was use your blessing. Yeah. Help us. How did you learn to hear? How did you get so open to hearing the divine in your life? Because you started off with, you told me you're obedient and called, but where did the obedience come from? Where did this ability to hear the voice, the calling happen? How did you develop that?
I don't think the agency can be with me. I think actually that is part of the preparation for my call. I mean, I think I needed that in order to do the work I do. And that's one of the spiritual gifts God has given me. Because as I've worked with people as a priest, so I was 19 something years as a priest. And in that time, people would say, I don't hear the voice of God. And so we would work to figure out, well, how do you encounter the presence of God and the knowledge of God? Because I believe that's in all of us and it is shared freely with each of us. And that the divine wants nothing more than to be in relationship with us. And so some of it is to back out of the way. I just was sharing in a staff meeting this morning that Danny was in, that I was doing a keynote this weekend for another diocese. And in the middle of the keynote, like I have this moment and I'm like, whoa, wait, I've got a whole new insight here about how bird watching and being a disciple are very similar to each other. And so I think there are things in my life that have informed how I am in relationship with God. So what came to me in the middle of that keynote, for better or worse in timing, when you're in the middle in front of like 300 people, and like suddenly you're having a new thought, but was that the best way to see a bird, if you're looking for a specific bird, right, or you hear a lot of song and you're wanting to see those birds, is you sit down and you're quiet and you are just in the habitat you need to be in. And so that's the best way to hear God, is to still everything else, right? That's Sabbath, right? Get rid of all the other noise and let nothing but the presence of God have its run with you. Like just that presence to have its run. And I think it's not looking for a particular, it's about devoting yourself to being present. And then the obedience is key. Because I met people in seminary who had been on the track for 25 years. They had a similar encounter. They just kept putting it off until it was the right time, or it made sense, or they wrapped their head around it, or they felt worthy, or, but God got them in the end. And for me, at some point, I didn't want to be anywhere that God was not. I just didn't. And I don't know that there was there's not a moment I can point to, but I just know when I say, God, this day belongs to you. I'm here. Use me as you will. That's my prayer every morning. And if I'm supposed to be in a place, let's not be subtle. Like, just get me there, right? And I'll do what I need to do. And that, I don't know, I think it's a lifetime. My dad was an incredibly faithful person. He taught me outreach. He taught me how to tend to people. He was the outreach coordinator for our church before he, kind of went off on this other path, but he still did that. And he was deeply loved. And he changed so many lives, but he died thinking he hadn't done what God had asked him to do. And there were almost 1,000 people who showed up at his funeral from years and years and years back, because he saw every person. So, it's just, I don't know. It's just there. And we inscribe the faith on the hearts of our children, right?
Yeah, wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Let's talk about faith for a moment and the role that faith plays in your faith, because you're our first, you're the first Protestant that we've had. And we went from Catholics who have bishops to the bishop. So help us understand a little bit about how this faith process that has formed you developed or came through your Episcopal tradition. How does the Episcopalian tradition form your faith, form your practice, inform your life? And let's just start there. The role of faith in your practice. What is faith? Is it simply belief, or I'll start with that.
It's a word that I've been struck with recently is the word ineffable. And it's in the All Saints Day collect, so the prayer we say for All Saints Day. And it describes the word is ineffable joy. So we pray in that for God's ineffable joy. And I'm like, so I was thinking, I was really struck by it this All Saints Day. I don't know why. It's like the word that just jumped out and grabbed me. And I was like, okay, like I know what ineffable is, but I like, why? That's not an adjective. It's first of all not an adjective we use. I don't know when is the last time anybody has used the word ineffable, right? I mean, maybe you just did. I don't know. But I certainly haven't. And so, but joy I talk about all the time. So when those two words were put together, I was like, ineffable joy. And ineffable, so I looked it up and it was like, ineffable means a word that is beyond description. Like it literally can't be pinned down. So another word in the Christian faith that means a lot to me is alleluia, and that it's the purest form of praise of God. It doesn't have any other meaning. So if you ask me, what does alleluia mean? It kind of means what's in your heart, right? It means what you're lifting up to God. There's not a set meaning to this word. So this ineffable, this language is part of the mysterium of God. It's part of the faith tradition. So faith is definitely an ineffable word, I think, because for some people, I would say walking in a door of a house of God that they know nothing about. They're really putting their emotional and spiritual well-being in the hands of others, not sure what they're going to find. That takes incredible faith. Faith that on the other side of those doors, there is a life that is better than they could ask for or imagine, as we say in another collect, right? And so so faith, I think, starts there. Is that faith it's got aspects of hope, it's got aspects of belief, it's got aspects of longing, it's got aspects of lament. Like I have to have faith that God will catch me when I'm free falling in life. Like that's not belief, that's faith. And so if I have faith in that, which has taken, numerous experiences where my life dropped out from underneath me, and when I go through those and I do the hard work of being in relationship with God, then it makes it easier the next time to have the faith that I am not alone, I am not free falling, and that what I'm going to learn in this is going to change my life, and that God will use it for good. That, I preached a sermon once, and this is one of those beautiful moments. Joe, you know this. But that moment when you're writing and all of a sudden something comes out that you've never thought of, and you're like, that's not from me. I don't know that. Like, whoo, okay, that. And one of the phrases that has really impacted my life in pastoral care with folks is we have to get to the place where we know that God is never in the cause and God is always in the comfort. And the quicker you can get to that, then you start looking for where the angels are. When something's going wrong, you immediately start looking for God to show up, because God's showing up all over the place in the middle of crisis, everywhere. And so if you spend a lot of time trying to find God in the cause of what's happening, then you're blind to the angels. So I think faith is a lifetime endeavor. And the other piece that's critically important to me is the cloud of witnesses. So that I don't have to know God's voice on my own. I don't have to know whether what I'm hearing is right or wrong. That God has given me people of the faith, and that doesn't mean Episcopal. That means people in relationship with God, who are they're gonna affirm unbidden. If what you're hearing is a call from God, they will. And so people will say things, and I'll watch people discount it, and I'm like, stop, wait a minute. Did you just hear what he or she said? You need to take that seriously. They just said they saw this in you. So, take the wisdom. They're not complimenting you. They're telling you they see this in you, and that would be useful to God. So that kind of thing. So the cloud of witnesses is incredibly important.
There's a Jewish mystic. He's no longer with us, Rav Kook, and he spoke of faith, and I'm curious how this echoes in your world. He spoke of the essence of faith is an awareness of the vastness of infinity. The essence of faith. So there's an essence there, not just the outer form, but the essence of faith is an awareness, deep awareness of the vastness of infinity. And I'm just wondering if that leads you anywhere. I've always resonated with that, but hearing your encounter with faith, it was very rich, but it was also another walk, another way that I'm hearing. And faith is ultimately grounded in something that is beyond and that we have no words for. And there is an infinite dimension, and it's within and it's beyond. So does that, it may not work in your model, but that's what sort of came to mind when I was listening to you for some reason, the awareness of the vastness of infinity.
So I want to first say, Taylor, I saw your message, and yeah, let me just answer that, and then I'd love to hear what you
Good.
learned
Thank
this
you.
year.
I didn't see.
So for me, you just framed a mystic's way of saying what I said. So I'm a practical theologian. Almost all of my theology is rooted in the daily life, the daily walk. It's far more experiential than it is heady. And a mystic is all of here and the thinness of the space between here and what is of divine of what I would call the divine realm. And that there's just it's the more we get open to that, the less division we see, right? That we're not striving for something, that we're actually immersed in it. And so I hear I mean, I think infinity is the great way of saying, that it is ineffable because there is a place in which the unfolding of my knowledge of God is a gift that comes into my existence, and that one day I will be folded into that completely, and whatever that looks like, I don't know. I don't hold to that either, because I have faith that I have knowledge that what I'm hearing is God's voice. I mean, no one could ever convince me otherwise, because I know my own experience. I know what I sound like, and I know what I don't sound like, right? And so for me, that is quite clear. But I also love to say, the less we pigeonhole things, the more wondering we can be, the more just full of the potential and possibility. So, Taylor, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you for seeing that. I tend to forget about that.
Yeah, no,
and if anybody
no
else
worries.
has any comments after, please join in.
Yeah, you guys can hear me okay, right?
Perfect.
You're good.
All right. So I did. So being a lot of people associate the name with Mormon, it doesn't offend me. I know some people get offended by it, but I'm just a member of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And when I've grown up, a lot of the times our faith is very rigid and like the levels of what you believe in and stuff. And I remember a couple years ago, especially when I went to a military deployment, I saw a lot of things, and it's a lot of people that say that, oh, I went to war and I saw God and I believe in God. I was the exact opposite. I saw some brutal things that were done to women and children, and just in general, I don't want to delve into that, but it's funny. I returned and to go to BYU to finish my degree, and then I took this class thinking really nothing of it. I've always been really interested in religions, and things like that in general, and just the cohesiveness between everyone. But that's when I had met Joe, and all of this I learned a lot more that God is not exclusive, or however we identify him as in every religion. And I think through meeting you, Joe, and your daughter, and through Professor Gaskell, and just everything, even though I was only remoted into the class because I was working and stuff. This past year, I think I shared with you a little bit what happened. I had my first son, and then I got in this weird car accident where someone ran into me and my wife, and then I ended up, after actually getting an MRI to check my back out, they found a nodule in my hip, said I had cancer, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm having my son, and now I'm gone. I'm going to be leaving, and going through that trial, it was really hard for me, and then I found at the end of the year that I worked with an orthopedic oncologist, and he said, "Well, it was a tumor. It's not cancerous. The other oncologist was wrong. You'll be fine." I just found out this last July. I'm still okay. But then I ended up losing my job at the same time. So I was going into that with a cancer diagnosis, no insurance, no. So anyway, I'm trying to not take too much time. I went through a lot this past year, job loss, reduction in force. And then I got this job that was just very unhealthy for me. Like, it was very bad hours, bad management. Thank goodness I no longer work with them. But suddenly in June, I stopped white knuckling my life and just said, you know what? Wherever I am, oh shoot, sorry. Wherever I am, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna take whatever guide and follow whatever feels good in that general, well, not feels good in that general direction, and is light. And I really used that. I remember doing Shabbat when you came to Utah, and it was all about light, and I remembered that lesson, and I remember just following that light. And I am in such a much better position in my life right now. And it's crazy because I feel like I went to a rock bottom sort of, and then came back up because I just trusted the process, and everything that broke me, whether it was from my perspective. Sometimes we're told in our religion that God puts things in front of us for us to overcome. While others say that, oh, well, the Lucifer or the devil puts things in front of you and God saves you from those. But when I finally realized that maybe he's putting these trials in front of me for me to grow, um, no matter who he is, whether he's a God of my religion or God of anyone's religion, I finally trusted the process. And and my whole life, I felt like I was born without a spiritual antenna, like I couldn't receive, even though I had practiced my personal faith in Jesus Christ and God the Father and the Holy Ghost, the Godhead, as we say. It was incredible for me. And it's built, my foundation, of course, is in the LDS Church, but just meeting Rabbi Joe and also meeting several people in these groups and Professor Gaskill, who was kind of, I guess, a doorway to that. It's crazy. Like you said, Bishop, I identify that with that. Just the whole, just find the process for yourself, and your life opens up. And don't be so angry when bad things happen. Go, why did this happen, and how should I react to this, and move forward. And sometimes bad things just happen, but I really identified with what you said, Bishop Phyllis. It's crazy. For so many years I felt like I white knuckled things, and white knuckled my faith and my feelings around it, and would grow so angry at why God has such a problem with me, or maybe why the world has such a problem with me. But I don't know if what I shared is helpful to anyone, but I hope it is in some way, because it really is. When you let go a little bit and let the process happen, and like you said, let yourself fall, and have faith that you're falling for a reason, and that level that you finally hit the ground, you can go back up from there. And so long as you're alive and you're not dead yet, there's still hope. There's still peace. Um, I felt hopeless in my life a lot, but I've learned a lot about myself this year, and I really appreciate people's examples, especially you, Joe. Um, I know I haven't been around a lot, and that's a good thing because I've been busy, but it's the good kind of busy, but at the same time, I really feel whatever higher power is out there, whether it's God or it's just, yeah, it's incredible when you start to trust the process of everything. Anyway, sorry, I hope
Yeah.
my
No,
emotions
no.
a little
Thank
bit, and
you.
I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to pick up on that? On what Taylor was discussing?
I will.
Yes, who are you?
Let me see, how does this, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Taylor, I really appreciate what you just mentioned about white knuckling through life, which I regret I did for 20 years, over 20 years in the military myself. I think life would have been worked out a lot better for me, for my family, had I not done that myself. So I just wanted to say I appreciate that. And Bishop, thank you for your words. Really beautiful. Just inspiring and helpful.
Also, I'm aware that this is Veterans Day, and
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
really want to say that um, it's a gift to have veterans in this space with us, because we need to always be praying and remembering the harm that military service brings to individuals, to their families, and it's really beyond comprehension for those of us, for at least for me, who has never served. I think we're blessed by having you here tonight and sharing
Are
some
you
of
on
that
the thing
burden.
again? Okay, sure. Just talking about. I was
Oh,
like,
Mario, you're unmuted. There you go. The least of what I've heard
And
recently.
That's right.
We just did an
That's
online
right.
meeting a while ago, and woo!
and
The mic
quick to
is
mute
hot.
some people. This
that's
meeting
the
is
thing.
driving me to need a glass of wine. Okay, let's mute them.
I think I was gonna say too, I think it's one of the greatest things. I've always wanted to connect and make bridges between people, whether you're agnostic, atheist, Christian, Jewish, Islamic. It to me, like these type of things and forums are so important because
Yes.
after what I experienced, it's just like I feel like everyone needs to come together as people. Why are we so driven by differences? And that's why I feel like you're the core to this. You are the light, Joe, that brings, honestly, you really are, that brings the people together like this. And that's so important, I feel like, because people get in their corners and their cliques and their religions, and we fight over, and we really don't, we just need to, yeah, we just need to connect more with each other. And that's why you're such a gift to all of us, Joe, to be doing this for
Thank
people.
you. Thank
And
you.
Yael, I'm remembering your mom is military, correct? Yeah. So blessings and prayers bringing her into this space as well. Joe, your wife.
Yeah, you didn't announce yourself, Sarah. Who are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Schechter, Joe's wife. Yeah.
Joe, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, Elle's mom. And was very humbled and honored to be here with this beautiful group of people and for this very special discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, thank you. And thank you, Taylor, for walking us through a part of life that military is not easy, especially when humans live up to their lowest potential in war. And I admit up front, I am a theist. I believe that life is not random. I believe that somehow there is a transcendent source behind all of existence that brought us into being, and that within our material makeup, there is also something that transcends the materiality and the physicality of existence. And that In Genesis 2, it's spoken of as God breathed into us, and we became a living soul. And the rabbis teach that idea, metaphorically speaking, of God breathing. What's the idea of breathing? When you breathe, you're transferring something from deep within, deep essence within, into the other. So God transferred his divine essence, or God's divine essence, into us. And we have that potential, and it's painful to see how humanity lives with that divine light and that infinite beauty and potential that we have, and how we live almost as if we're divorced from anything divine at all. I haven't been in war, and I've spoken with people who have, and I don't know how some of them go through what they've seen. And so bless you all. I know what you've seen, Sarah. I know the bombs that you've gone through. And we, there's a debate. It's in the Talmud, in our oral tradition, where the angels are arguing with God about creating human beings. Two say yes, and two say no. And in the end, God throws down the naysayers, or one of the naysaying angels, and creates humanity. And there are times, honestly, that I ask myself, maybe those angels were right, because they discussed how dark existence was going to be, because how humans would fail to live up to their divine potential. And we have the blessings in this country, and all free countries have their blessings because of our brave and bold saints. You're not just soldiers or airmen, you're saints. And most of us couldn't do what you did. And so we thank you for keeping us free and allowing us to have all the potential light and beauty in life that so many don't experience. So yeah, thank you all. And faith is foundational, Taylor, you're right. And there's an interesting teaching also from the rabbis, the word emunah or amuna. If you take the letters of that word, E, M, U, M, and H, if you rearrange those letters that make up the word emunah, you can rearrange the letters and make something else out of it. And what the rabbis draw out from that rearranged word, if I had a board, I would draw it out. But from Emunah, you take each of those letters, and each one, it's like an acronym, and it stands for Niftachu Hashemayim ve'er Mares Elokim. It says, the heavens were open, and I beheld visions of God. The word faith has those as an acronym. The letters of the word faith speaks of the heavens opening and beholding divine visions. Faith allows us to see beyond and within in a way that our eyes will never allow us to see. And sometimes faith is the only thing that allows us to see beyond the destruction that lies before us and within us. So you can always call me, Taylor, and we've spoken over a few years that we've known each other, but faith is ultimately the only vision that allows us to see what truly is. And our eyes fail, our minds fail, but faith gives us that enduring vision, that hope is still always available, even when we can't see any hope before us. So thank you for everything that you've shared about your life and Sarah. And I know I went before Bishop off on a little more of a mystic tangent as far as faith. But
All the same.
the way I orient my faith, the way I reference ultimately my faith when I've described it to people in the past is it's my spirituality manifests and my faith in the transcendent manifests itself in my humanity or it's nothing. So we're on the same page, sister. I just didn't start off with that because there's something so grand about faith. But if it's not rooted here, blossoming in people's lives and doing the noble work that you do, which is sometimes just your presence, being present, then I don't care about your faith. Your faith means nothing. And so if anybody has any other comments or reflections before we move on to another, just maybe one or two more thoughts. Yes, Patricia.
In our faith, it's commonly said that faith is an action word. It's what gets you to do something, not just talk or theorize. You would describe humanity. You put that into action, and that's faith.
Yeah. Yeah, and you do that well. You do that well. In fact, your models for humanity, the service that your community does, the charity that you do. So thank you. Thank you. You're right.
And I think Yael had something.
Yes, yeah.
Hi. I'm kind of at a loss for words just because what Taylor and the bishop said moved me so much. So I'm trying to re-articulate, regather myself. But the question I had kind of from the beginning was, Bishop, when you sit in stillness or when you feel something come to you, how do you hear the voice of God?
And it's a very particular, it's not a right way that I hear, right? I mean, there's no right. However, people hear or perceive God, whether that's in community, whether that's, I don't know, a bird flying over or, a butterfly landing on their nose, that's, I think, yes, right. Yes. And if we get it wrong, I don't think God's ever offended. We were looking for God, right? So that's the most important. For me, I think that characteristic of I know my own voice and that which isn't my own voice is the voice of God. And I am also deeply so the Episcopal faith is a Trinitarian faith, and so I am deeply synchronized with the Holy Spirit. And so there's several ways in which the Holy Spirit I feel and know. I believe that our intuition, so that thing where it's the knowing that you can't have any way of knowing, that's God. And that's the divine within. So when you, and that's where obedience comes in. That is not it's like when it's terrible. This is a terrible analogy, but it's absolutely right. Because I think I think it can be life and death for either me or somebody else. But as I was doing this keynote this weekend before the convention started, this person came up, a security person came up and said, all right, because I was with the Bishop of Honduras, the canon to the ordinary from Honduras, the canon to the ordinary for that diocese. And they said, you're table 16. And if anything happens and we come and we say, go, you're going out that door. You won't speak. You won't ask any questions and you won't try to go anywhere else. You just follow. And I need your commitment right now to do that. And I think in some ways it's a dramatic example, but I think that's true. When you hear that intuition, I should call so-and-so, do it. Because it's really not up to you whether you think that you have time for it or that's the way to do it. So, I mean, and Joe can laugh because he's tried to call me for months and months and months and months. And I keep saying, I need to call Joe. I need to call Joe. But there's a special place, right, where somebody pops into your mind that you haven't thought of in a very long time, or you hear turn back. Like you're driving your car and you hear turn back. You didn't say turn back, right? You know where you're going. GPS is giving. If you hear that, you feel that, then so there's so many ways I think the voice of God comes, but so often we discount our intuition, which I think is discounting an incredible way in which God speaks to us. It has saved people's lives by just doing something they can't even explain why they did, but they just knew that that's what they were supposed to do. So there's that. The times that I heard God very distinctly, those were unusual, but they were clear. And I think they were profound because it needed to be very profound. The other way that God speaks to me is through tears. So when somebody is speaking or I am speaking and something is said and it's a divine truth, it's a truth that God wants me to pay attention to, I will suddenly tear up. And I don't know where those tears came from, but to me, it's a barometer for a divine moment. And so when that's in my eyes, I listen. I think what was just said, wait. I need to be with that. I need to be in space and silence or prayer or and recognize. And sometimes I'll stop people and say, do you realize you're tearing up with what was just said? That means that's like an amen from God. It's the opposite direction. It's like God is saying, yes, here. And again, I say, listen to that, right? So I think those are just some of the ways. And I think that's the other thing is like, it's like any language, right? We listen. And if we have the faith that God is speaking, then we just have to keep, oh my gosh, I'm going to age myself. So some of you on the call won't mind, but it's like tuning that old car radio, right? Where you're like, you're a little bit this way and you're a little bit that way. And then like you have to hold your hand up in the air. Then you need to put some aluminum foil over here. I got it, And so that's what a life of faith is, right? You're trying to get it tuned in so that you recognize more quickly and you hear more clearly.
Yeah. I'm so glad, Bishop. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry, Yael. Yes. Did you need any more? Or have any other comments?
Oh, I don't want to get us off topic. I was gonna say something when Taylor again, just like you said, Bishop, the tears that's like a bridge. But I don't know, maybe it feels right. I never talk about this except to my dad, but maybe it just feels right. But when you were talking, and the truth is that just in this present moment, I can't even remember what it was. And when Taylor was talking too, when Taylor was talking and he was saying how some of the things in life he felt like he had, I guess, been numbed, and how he tried to rehumanize himself, re-flesh his heart in a way. And a similar thing is sometimes happening to me now because sorry. I love someone very, very deeply, but it's unrequited. And my dad knows about this. He knows how for many years it's been like a vision. This one person is just so beautiful, just such a personification of everything that we see and that we hold dear in our vision of an ideal human being, of an ideal life partner. And I know that I'm growing up and that things have to change. And I feel like me trying to move on has kind of numbed a part of me in a way. And it's hard for me to cry about it. And I realized that the other day. And my prayer was like, this month, please let me cry about it again. And I feel like what Taylor said just really resonated with me about that. So I just wanted to thank Taylor and to thank you, Bishop. And that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm really grateful you said that. I'm grateful that yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Al. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, you're our brother, Taylor. That's why we owe Professor Gaskill a lot, because we wouldn't have met without him. We wouldn't have met without him.
I think
Well,
And
also, oops, sorry, Taylor, go. Yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say real fast, and that's what's incredible is he was a Orthodox. What is he again? I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah, Orthodox.
he was Eastern Orthodox.
Eastern Orthodox, and then he
Yeah.
converted
And he
to
became,
the
yeah.
LDS, and it's weird again. It's that community of throwing down the boundaries of, oh, I'm this religion or I'm this religion, and just connecting people together, which is just a beautiful concept, especially in this world of black and white, green, red, or red, blue, when it shouldn't be that way. It should be people and people, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Yes,
say,
Bishop.
that's an incredible bravery, and also an example of faith that, you will be heard in the way that in a way that is safe for you. And I think that's so I your bravery uh, and courage has deepened this. And so this is when I say, I'm a practical theologian. I'm an on
Yeah.
the ground theologian, because this is everything we talk about. It is about this. It's about the pain and the suffering in every human heart, and just life is painful. It hurts. It calls a lot from us. It is visceral, right? And so the fact that with both I think um I'm not going to get your name right. Therapist, dear Adrian. I'm not going to do that right. Adrian. Sorry, can't snap close.
Yeah.
Push the space bar and just hold it. Nope, it didn't do it. It
It's
does sometimes, it
Adrian.
doesn't. Where did she go? Okay, anyway, but I've seen her nodding a lot too in this. But one of the things is that that we therapists and clergy that we deal with is knowing that it's so much easier to harden the human heart than it is to feel. And the feeling is what is part of our humanity. And so this, yes, there you go.
Here I go. Yes, I found that really a beautiful thing. I was a volunteer at the Parliament of World Religions, and I could feel God in every corner of that room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it just felt really good to know he loves all of his children, And what led me on the path to make me a therapist later on in my life was I had a breakdown and didn't know who I was. What I held dear was not dear. And what I started with was a prayer asking God to show me myself through his eyes. Help me see myself through your eyes, for you see me clearly and with love. And as I was going through that transition and starting to build up myself back to believing I was worthy of love and belonging, I found my prayers added to that I started saying, and please help me see others as you see them, for you see them clearly and with love. And in my practice, I pray, start every day with prayer, that I will be led to say what would be most healing for that person, and that I would see them through God's eyes. So.
Yeah, wow.
Hi, everybody. I just want to make a comment in regards of Taylor things, how the feelings, how I make Rabbi Joe. The reason I joined your group and I was so excited to meet him, Rabbi Joe, because I had that feeling God wants more to us to be unified and in faith, to love each other. And sometimes I look at people, they are so religious, so straight to their own feelings. They don't see what God wants for us. And I was research, and when I had the opportunity to meet Rabbi Joe and be able to come down here and listen to you all, and all makes sense because everybody have this feeling. We all similar. We are children of God. Yeah, Shem. He love us no matter if we're Jew and Protestant or Episcopal, no matter which religion we came from. He loves us. We are human beings. We are drafted on his image. And he wants us to be unified. He wants us to love each other. He wants us to be together. And I was saying, why is so difficult sometimes? But like that, the process of walking with God, go with his love and his caring is the only thing. And listen to you all is being very enlightened. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just gonna, Bishop, is there anything you'd like to, well, you're not going to leave us with, but you're going to leave with us. I want you to know that. Your presence is a gift. And we're grateful for not just the time that we spend together, Yael and I, when we're there. We're grateful for your presence, period. And if there's anything you'd like to leave us with before we say shalom, please feel free. And then if what I will do after is I'm going to, I think, sum up. I'm going to read something, if it's okay. Sherry, where are you? There you are. Because of the makeup of our group, half of our group, I'd like to read something that I think is so highlighted in the New Testament, if that's okay, after everybody else shares a final thought, or if you have a closing word, Bishop, to leave us with, so that we can leave with more of your wisdom and your light and your way of life. Otherwise, if not, believe me, you have left us with much, and we are much, much better because of what you have given us.
First of all, of course, such profound gratitude for being invited into this community of conversation and story that is every word spoken and shared by people changes all of us, right? And it changes how we'll close out this day. And so I think what my practice is, I'd offer it for the end of the day is, for those of you familiar with what's called the examen, it's an Ignatian practice, but this letting God reflect the day back. But I feel like in this conversation tonight, there are things that there's something that all of us will need in the future. I just am filled with that sense that, so I invite you to take some time as you lay yourself down to close this day, that you ask God to, and this is a very dense theological term, but I call this a Velcro prayer. So, and that is that God Velcro to you and to your soul what you need to remember, because we are so busy and we're inundated with so much information and so much, and so much is called forth from us every single day that I would love to just commit with you that we pray that God Velcro to our souls what we need, because these words are precious. They're gifts. It's not just for tonight. It's not during this hour. It's something that we can draw on. And it's a way of being the fullness of the community that Carla so beautifully described. So that's, I think, what I would say. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, me
So
too.
grateful.
We all are. I will leave us with some words from Paul that I think reflect, well, mostly words from Paul and then a couple from the Jewish way of sacred life. The first thing I will say is the central prayer in Judaism is the Shema. It's the call to hear, to listen deeply. And I feel tonight, just being here with each other, I feel it has broadened our ability to hear and listen. And in Hebrew, it also means to understand. And I think great understanding has developed, at least within me, and realizations I'm sure have taken place within all of you. And I'm blessed to have been a part of this evening, and thank you all for sharing. And my prayer is that, we say it 4 times a day, the Shema, sometimes we say it up to 10, that idea of hearing. My prayer is that we learn to hear each other more deeply, and that we learn to hear with greater humility, so that we're not hearing our own words, our own minds, our own hearts, but we're hearing the heart of the other, like we did tonight. My heart was opened, hearing your wisdom, your pain, and your life, just hearing about your life. So thank you for enabling me to listen more fully, to listen more deeply. And I will leave us with some words from our good brother Paul, the Apostle Paul. Not normally how we end things, Sherry, I know that, but it so beautifully ties in with, I think, the themes that have been discussed tonight and reflected on. And I love what you brought out, Bishop, with obedience and faith, because Paul speaks in Romans 1 about the obedience of faith. Faith is not simply you're justified and you're off to heaven. I think that's a very tragic understanding of that many lovely people have in certain communities about faith. Faith is, you are so right, faith is obedience. Faith is obedience. And so I hope we all allow ourselves to hear and listen more deeply so that we can be heard more fully. And Yael, your pain and the pain that all of us at some point walk through regarding love can't get any better than 1 Corinthians 13, verse 7. It starts at verse 1, but in verse 7 it says just words that I hope I don't cry when I read it. But it speaks of love in a way that is truly divine, period. He says that love bears all things, because sometimes life is unbearable. I'm commenting. But love bears all things, and boy, do we need love to help us bear life at times. And love believes all things. Sometimes when pain and life happens, belief is the first part of our being to often break. But if we're grounded and rooted and blossoming in love, we can maintain our faith in the midst of our pain. So love bears all things. Love believes all things. And sometimes life breaks our vision and our hearts that we simply have no hope. No hope. It says, love hopes all things. I don't know how I'm going to hope again after what has happened, but damn it, love allows us to hope again. And in the end, thank you. I'll call you Apostle Paul. I'll call you Rabbi Paul for this one. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. And love endures all things. I don't know how I can make it. I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but somehow love allows us to endure. So for now, at the end of 1 Corinthians 13, again, Paul, these words are a gift to humanity. For now we see in a mirror dimly. That's so often our life. That's so often our life. But then we will see face to face. There is a time that we will see real presence again. Now I know only in part. Then I will know fully. Even as I have been fully known. Folks, we don't know. And life is often dim. In fact, it's just sometimes cosmically dark. But we're not alone. We're not alone. And I'm grateful for your presence this evening. And your tears will be tears that nourish. They will in the end heal. And thank you, Bishop, for the insight about tears, that those are also moments of encounter with the divine. That is holy wisdom right there, sister. And I thank you. So much love, folks. Much love. There's much pain, but there's much love. And I'm grateful for our time together this evening. That's all I can say. Actually, it's almost morning here probably, but I thank you all for your time this evening. I know we went a little long, but we're all better for this evening. And I'll see you again, Bish, when we come out. My sister, tell your sister hello. I hope she probably won't be there.
She's in
Carla, when I
Alaska
come-
now. Yeah.
Whoop. Okay, well, holy moly. We'll see all of you. We'll see you in Colorado. We'll see you in Utah. Reverend Danny, I'm calling you. I'm not doing our normal name with each other. Sherry, Adrian, Brother T, and Mario. Mario, shalom, brother. Thanks for being present with us.
Shalom.
And yeah, we'll see you all at a time when we need to be together again. So thank you all. And until next time, shalom, peace. Peace.
Shalom.
Love y'all.